Hi everyone, it's Allison, and I'm here to do, I don't even know what day it was. Day 11, I think, of Ethony's 21 Days of Tarot Challenge. I don't know because I'm behind. Obviously, today is the 12th of January. And if that's correct, then it's the day where you talk about the Oracle decks that you want to use in 2018. I was keen to participate in this one, and I'm keen to watch other people's videos too. I don't My relationship with Oracle decks, my thoughts about Oracle decks is not, they're not very advanced, and I'm not 100% sure what to do with Oracle decks. This was pretty easy for me because you had to pick your top 5 Oracle decks you want to work with more in 2018, and I only have 5, so I'm going to talk about those 5. And it's very fitting because I don't work with them. I don't, I have acquired them. I'm sorry, that's not true. There's one I do love to look at and I use for very specific reasons. And I'll talk about that. And I think I have a guess as to why this is. And maybe it's going to be that 2018 is the year that I learned that Oracle decks are actually not for me. I primarily started purchasing Oracle decks because I thought they'd be really good writing prompts. Not necessarily journaling, but just sort of writing fiction or journaling. And I have used them a bit for that, but not as much as I would have thought. And I'm just not sure. Tarot decks with their sort of the storytelling of a tarot deck of its own, the progressive nature of the major arcana, that really appeals to me, whereas Oracle decks I'm having a harder time getting on board with. And I don't know, I just don't really use the ones that I have. And it's not a criticism of these decks because I do love them all. They're all beautiful. And this is probably a function of my own lack of creativity as to what to do with them, and what I'm going to do. So anyway, I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts on that and how people. I know there's lots of videos about how people use Oracle decks, but we'll talk about it as I go through them, and then talk about what I like about each, and maybe how I've been limited in each. So, fittingly, we're going to start with the first Oracle deck I ever purchased. And it is Ethony's, which is very fitting because this is her tarot challenge. And I think this is a really beautiful deck. This is the first non-tarot deck I ever bought. Sorry, that pounding is my dog, his foot hitting the floor as he scratches. Sorry. I really thought I would use this one for writing, as writing prompts, that I would shuffle it up and pull a couple of them out and put them down and practice creative writing. I do love to write for all kinds of purposes. It really is something I really enjoy. Maybe it's hard to see. I never get to film in the daylight because it's winter in Canada, but I came home to work from home early today because I'm in the middle of a full-blown snowstorm and blizzard. So that one says healing, yikes, knowledge. And I really liked watching Ethony's videos, and I thought not only would I like to buy this deck and use it as writing prompts, but I want to support her in this venture. It's such a big expression, and the artwork is so gorgeous. I love the borderless. The gilded edges are beautiful. I love the back. These are still available. You can certainly pick one up. If you're doing this tarot challenge, you probably know that. But I just haven't used it in the way that I thought I would. I sort of just forget about Oracle decks. And it's no fault of this gorgeous deck. I mean, look at this active card. When I look at it, I think, yes, I'm going to use it. And then I just don't. This is the Gaia card, is the card that is on the box. It comes in a beautiful box. Hardcover, like a hard-backed box. It's beautiful on the inside. The whole thing is just gorgeous. And this is, I don't know, perspective. This is something I think you could just do a one-card draw and think about your day. On the days that I did use it, I'm not saying I never used it. I pulled it out so I could show you. Release. Again and again. I'm so sorry, that's my dog's squeaky toy. Oh God, this is what this kind of video is going to be. I'm so sorry. Release. I feel like I only ever drew this card. So maybe it's telling me that I just need to relax and not figure out the right way to use the cards, or just do some darn writing after all. Sorry. I have 2 dogs and they're adorable. And You were sleeping a minute ago. Anywho. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, you know what, I'm going to go through the ones that I have love and don't use, and then we'll deal with the one that I use. The second one, which I also love and have not used, is the Sacred Creators Oracle. I really think this is a beautiful deck. I love the simplicity of it. Limitations inspire innovation. So I'm having trouble pulling the cards apart now, of course. I'm going to do it like this. I'll hold them up like this. Limitations inspire innovations. Rise. This one's gorgeous. The colors are really beautiful. This deck feels like heaven in your hands. It's thick. It's gorgeous backing. Look at that. It's not showing up very well because it's dark here. There's so much snow flying around outside. Move beyond intention to belief. Again, these are all over the internet, Instagram, whatevs. And you'll see too the cards. The cards that are the first 22 correspond with the Tarot Major Arcana. Let me find another one that. Well, of course, now I've said that, I'm not going to be able to find one. Overrate your intuition, sort of the Magician. And there are some cards in here that I don't really love. I mean, this is cute. Fill your cup with sacred giggles, and maybe there are days when I need a message like that, but I find it doesn't really speak to me. Fall in love with your own story, I like. Manifesting and doing, I quite like that. And there are a few ones that are very business oriented, which is it makes complete sense because the creator is a businesswoman and a lot of people are creating some spiritual businesses, and this was part of the inspiration for the cards. So anyway, I was watching a video of Wild Moon Woman talking about this deck, and she loves it. And she sort of blithely said, well, you know, there's cards in here I don't like, but I just took them out. And I was like, take them out. If you don't like a card, just take it out. It's like it had never occurred to me before. And maybe that's part of the thing holding me back. So that's a lesson I've learned about this deck. Again, it is gorgeous. If you like this kind of thing, the colors that correspond, the little sayings, gorgeous cardstock, matte gilding, this deck is something else. My other giant failing with this deck, and it is no one's fault but my own, is I have not read the guidebook. And everyone says the guidebook is fantastic, just even as a standalone book. So shame on me. Shame on me for not doing that. So that's why it's a big goal for 2018, to read that book, to get more acquainted, to figure out how I want to use that deck and actually use it. The third deck that I love that I don't use is the Sacred Symbols deck by Marcella Kroll. I'm not sure if this deck is still available. I got this off of Kijiji, which is, you guys have Kijiji in the States? It's like Craigslist. Someone was selling it for a very reasonable price. I sort of couldn't believe it. And I just love the look of this deck. I love the simplicity of the art style. For some reason, the idea that, well, that one's not so clear. Let me find, yeah. I love that the font is so different on every card. I don't know why that appeals to me so much. I like the color palettes. I like that each card is so different looking, even though it's so simple. Look at that funky death card. I like that a lot. Courage. There's some really neat ones in here where I did have to look them up in the guidebook because I actually didn't know what they were. Burden. Oh, look at that. Burden basket. That's the one. Sort of a First Nations tradition of having a basket by the door, a symbolic basket that you leave your burdens in when you come home. Couldn't we all use a little more burden basket in our life? I love this deck. I love to look at it every time I take it out, which is almost never. So I want to use this deck more in 2018. For what? I don't know. Again, I thought I might write with this one, and I don't. Let's get into the ones where I think I know the reason why I write with some and not with others, and I use some and not others. So this is the deck that I do use, that I love so much, and I look at all the time. It's so good for my creativity. It's so good for writing. I do sometimes, after I look at tarot cards, I pull one of these cards to further, think about the messages that the tarot cards have. And that is, of course, the soul cards. This I got at the same time as the sacred symbols from this Kijiji deal. I got both of them for, I think, $25, which again is fantastic. And now you've seen the back. Again, these are nothing new to anybody. And I think the deal for me is why I instantly gravitate to these and not any of the other decks I've shown so far, is they don't have any keywords. There's a guidebook that I never look at. It's entirely me thinking about what I want to say about a card in a particular time and moment, because they're so ambiguous. The imagery, I could write 100 stories about this card and they'd be all completely different. I find myself limited by keywords. I'd pull that gorgeous, I put it away, that gorgeous Ethony balance card, and I'd be like, that's a great overall message. But I don't know it doesn't feel like today, or it doesn't feel like so. And maybe if I just saw the image without the keyword, maybe that would change something for me. The first day I got this deck, this is the card I pulled. This joyful dancing card. I don't know. It just really works for me. And it's interesting because I love to read and I'm a words person, but in this case, maybe I don't want words. I don't know. But I want to give them a fair shake and a fair try. I own them. I paid money for them. I'm not going to buy any more Oracle decks until I decide whether or not they're for me. This is the year for that. Whether or not they're actually going to help me write, be creative, if I'm going to do anything with them. Although I do love the ones that I have. Finally, the last deck that I do really love, and this one I have used a little bit. This is, I'm so sorry, Anaturian, the Oracle of Echoes. And I think the reason that I've used this one a little bit more for creativity and for writing and for sort of just self-reflection is because it kind of looks like the soul cards. Not in a derivative way, just more abstract imagery. It does have keywords, but I'm just drawn to this one more. Oh, can we talk about that moon? Anaturian is so incredible. Now, this is interesting. We can talk about this. This card I find really specific. And I'm always kind of nervous to get it. And I'm like, whoa, how do I apply that to my situation? It's so specific that I'm not as big a fan of that one. This is gorgeous. The phrase is look to nature. And maybe the phrasing's ambiguous too. Well, time to soar. It's not any more ambiguous than Ethony's deck. I think it's just the art style that really works for me, a less literal art style. And maybe, gosh, I would hate to trim the words off of this because it would, would it throw off center the flower? It would a little bit. But part of me feels like I would work better with just the images and not the keywords. Because look at these images. They're just so gorgeous. And if I were to sort of randomly pull up, so these are the top two on Anna's deck, and then, what was I talking about? Soul cards. Just you can see sort of like a harmony there. So maybe I will trim this deck. I don't know. I'm so frightened to trim anything. I'm just such a klutz. And as you've seen by me knocking my computer and dropping cards and all of that nonsense. So, I don't know if this is a very inspiring video because I haven't been that inspired by Oracle decks as a genre. Again, I'm so pleased to own these decks. They are so, so beautiful. You can go to Ethony's site still, I think, and get the Awakened Soul. If you're into Oracle decks, I really recommend it because it's just so beautiful. I don't know about the others. I think you still can get the Sacred Creators Oracle. This is the book that I have been so negligent about, so I'm going to get on that. Not sure about Sacred Symbols. I assume you can still get soul cards because I think they sold them. They're sort of mass-produced. Highly worth it. So that's my video. Oh, and there's my phone. So I'm going to go. Have a great day.